So, one of the things I wanted to kind of discuss today is there's always going to be challenges in business. There's always got to be times when you've got to back yourself. You've got to understand, and it's something that I've definitely had to learn, that you need to be your biggest supporter. Not everybody will support you on the journey. And I think it'd be nice to touch back on our first commercial to residential deal where we had that difficult phase and you made the decision to really back the company and back us. So I don't know if you just want to tell people about that period.
No, sure. I mean, that is a really interesting story, and it's probably still today probably one of the toughest ones, because that was, an all or nothing story. But when our first commercial to residential project was 31 units in Hull, in the Maltings, a brilliant site, if you can remember. And again, going back into buying right, we negotiated that right down from about 1.6 million to 980 at the time. So we negotiated really well, and we built the right relationships. So then the next step in our journey was to get planning on it. So we knew once we had planning, it was a PD scheme, a pretty cheap application for that, for 31 units, about 4.5 grand, which was a lot of money at that time.
It was a lot of money at the time.
4.5 grand was a lot of money at the time, and we had to start legals and lending and all of the other, kind of balls that we were juggling. But we brought on a equity investor, and as the deal progressed and as we got closer to planning, the deal started to change, and week by week,
they were just trying to change and claw more power back into the deal, weren't they? Make it more and more favorable for them and less for us. Because they understood how little we had behind us.
Exactly. And it went from essentially being a 50-50 JV. We bring the sweat, they bring the equity, and we bring the funding, and we are responsible for the funding. It turned into what would essentially be a project management.
Yes.
And we've worked for developers. I've been a contract manager, you've been an operations director. We didn't want to go back into that. And now we were facing the trap now of, almost having to lose 30 grand, which was more than half of what we had in the bank at the time, versus losing all of that and the site all falling back into the same role. And it was a very difficult situation, but the situation we kind of went to, and to put it really politely, was a you to that investor at the time, and we ended up having essentially 3 weeks to find an investor with £500,000 to kind of plug that gap. Long story short is, we found one, and we completed within hours of the completion notice actually, kind of running out. We missed the initial deadline. They issued us the completion date, the completion statement. And we managed to do it about 4 hours before. But that, again, that shift of where that took us as a developer to what we would have been as project manager completely changed, the trajectory of the company. And it was very easy at that time to accept that. But, there was just something in us that just thought, no, this is our path. This is what we're committing to. If we look back and we say, what if, at least we can say what if, and we've given it our all. And we've swung hard for the fences.
Yeah, I think, it's a very, very valid point. It would have been, the easy decision would have been the safety net of, we'll take a project management role, we'll secure the income. We've got a bit of an experience of working with somebody who's an established developer.